Hello and welcome to another video with me, Winner and Trait, with another video of Weekly Andrew. In which, yeah, anime-wise, yeah, 3 weeks in a row where the only thing I'm talking about is Renai Flops. Nice. Mainly just due to the fact that, yeah, I don't really know what to talk about when it comes to any of the other anime I'm watching. And it's basically so close to the end of the season, I may as well just hold off until they end, pretty much, to talk about them. So, yeah. Just gotta deal with it one more week, I guess. And just figure out something for next week, and then after that, it's easy considering it's into the season, basically, at that point. And I can easily just go over everything that's ending. Which would be nice, to be honest, but, yeah. I guess I'll just go ahead and get straight into talking about Renai Flops then. For the third week in a row. Yeah, so I'm just going to go ahead and give spoiler warning, considering this is one of the rare times where I'll actually do that. Considering, yeah, there's just that much kind of going on here that I actually feel like putting a spoiler warning on it. So, yeah, getting into this, my prediction on all this stuff that's going on was mostly wrong, I guess. Considering the only thing I think I really actually got right was the whole fact that it was all simulation. That's pretty much it, to be honest. But to go over everything that is actually going on and what's been happening is that I, of course, was Asahi's child friend, which makes sense. And her father was a researcher basically working on creating a sentient AI, in which eventually I ended up getting sick, and her father basically uploaded her mind into it and made her into the sentient AI, basically, from my understanding of what was going on in the episode this week. That's pretty much what happens. And that AI basically ended up becoming the basis for all the AI that is currently used in the world. And now, at this point in time, you basically have researchers basically trying to create an AI that has feelings, pretty much, from my understanding at the very least, in which they basically put together an experiment where they will interact with humans in a simulation, basically, which is what this whole thing we've been seeing so far is, considering he was chosen at random, but most likely was I manipulating things, considering she's basically there, controlling everything still, I guess. But, yeah. I, so he basically got chose for the love experiment when it comes to that emotion. In which, of course, all five of the girls that we've known through this series anime so far are all, of course, AI. That, and which, this was also kind of part of another theory that was kind of going around, so guess that was kind of correct, and that each one of the girls was basically created by a different country. So yeah, and all this whole experiment it basically completely fell apart because of Aoi basically gaining sentience of some sort, I guess, and realizing that the worlds they were in wasn't actually real, I guess, and the fact that she wanted Asahi herself or something. So yeah, things are falling apart, of course. And from my understanding as well, that the one researcher we're actually seeing in this episode basically started the whole thing early, possibly, which basically has led to her now getting fired, pretty much. So, yeah. One research basically starts it early, which probably helped lead to all this crap happening and everything, so yeah. But overall, everything about this has been bad, to be honest, especially with Ai's father, what he did to her. But, yeah. Very interesting, considering this is supposed to be the stereotypical ecchi harem anime, which, to be honest, was kind of obvious that it wasn't really going to be from the beginning, considering it was too stereotypical. But yeah, I honestly kind of want to see where this goes, considering I think at this point there's still 4 episodes left. I think. But yeah, that's the only anime I actually have to talk about this week. Of course, like the last 2 weeks, this being the only thing I talked about. But moving on to the one game I have this week, which is Harem Hotel, which actually kind of surprised me when I saw that this got an update. So, version 16 of this game now. I think since the previous updates, the community has kind of changed development up after some voting on the from the community. Basically, changed things up when it comes to what's being put in these updates, considering previously as one event for every main character at minimum. But the community basically allowed him to start working on some of the characters that don't have as much content over the others, considering like Lynn and Ashley didn't get any events this time. But ones that did get events are, well, Callie, Maria, and Android all got one event. Then Felicity and Emma got 2 events. And Autumn got 4 events, and Sylvia also got one. A Love Roots event. And then there is also Explore events, which are basically for so you can actually explore the city and see more of it, learn more, pretty much. In which all of the locations there are basically locations that you've actually seen already, pretty much, with an exception to one that you should be able to see right now. But yeah. Moving on to the actual events and everything here, Callie's was basically just her getting accepted for the job at her father's company, in which kinda just, yeah. The rest of Callie's group got rejected for it, considering Callie was always going to be accepted and just needed good grades in the college to actually get it and justify it. Considering, yeah, Callie's dad is not very bright despite being the richest man on the planet. Somehow. Considering he doesn't apparently see how this could backfire on him, and just doing this without actually thinking of his daughter very much, and what she would want. But yeah, I'm pretty sure going forwards, Callie's probably going to start using the leverage she has, because of, at this point, how important she is to him, to starts getting the things she wants, which will be very nice to see, considering her father really isn't that bright when it comes to non-business related stuff, I guess. So moving on to Mario's event, this whole event here was basically the whole high stakes game that you're going to be going to free the elf that's there as the prize for the winner. So yeah, you, Maria, and Nia all end up going there. Nia is basically Plan B, in which, of course, you end up losing the game and have to resort to Nia going using Plan B and just stealing the elf to free her and everything. So yeah, bit interesting. We got to see, we end up getting to see Fleshties and Emma's father again, which I'm still very sure is the leader of that gang that we keep seeing and is after us currently. But that elf that we end up saying ends up joining the sanctuary with the other 2 that are there that are basically completely useless and just has the few H scenes and that's it. And we'll probably never actually get any more content from this point on. Just like how the other 2 haven't yet. So, yeah. So moving on to the next one with Android's event, where it's basically just that you get sick for some reason. Apparently, like a cold or something that you end up catching from Moon, I guess. And yeah, you end up getting sick. Nick and Android takes care of you while also kind of trying to explain things to Allie, considering Allie's basically a kid at this point still. Doesn't actually understand anything. And also, Android's kind of reliving the past a bit, I guess, considering your grandfather and everything. Yeah, I'm not exactly completely certain on that, but I guess she's kind of reliving stuff, considering she how little time she actually spent with your grandfather before he died, despite it's been over years, considering she is an android, and he was putting her together and everything there. But yeah, that's basically all that was, is just the android taking care of you while you're sick, while also dealing with Ali, who ends up kind of throwing a bit of a fit eventually. So, yeah. Moving on to the next one. Felicity and Emma, which you go on a date with, and while you're on that date, you're basically being followed by someone that's probably a part of that gang. The Ascendants, apparently is the name. I honestly don't really remember it's that much. But apparently it's the Ascendants or something. But yeah, you got someone following you the entire time, basically. And then the second event, some cops come into the hotel, plant some drugs, try to arrest Sylvie and take her away, in which, before they actually get out, Ashley, of course, confronts them, and also, I guess, Android right before that, but they deal with her. But, yeah. Zoya and Sia, the two of the three fairies that we have with us, end up kind of dealing with the cops. In which, of course, that ends up resulting in everyone that's actually there end up learning about those two at the very least. So I guess going forward, everyone will probably know about all three of the fairies, maybe. Or it'll just be limited to those two. Everyone that's there knowing about those two. There'll probably just be another event in the future where everyone learns about them, I guess. Probably one event for Ashley in the next update, probably. And also those cops, of course. Ascendants again. So, yeah. So moving on to Autumn's events, which basically the first two can basically be summed up as her continuing her pilgrimage to become a saint, in which she ends up choosing a Patagon, which was the Liberty Patagon, or whatever. And I'm just going to say something about these Paragons, considering the whole little conversation going on when it comes to that. This Liberty Paragon, whole conversation there. It's basically freedom taken to an extreme. You can literally do whatever you want. I mean literally anything you want. That's the kind of path that is. And other paragons that you can choose, actually, not really choose, other paragons that just exist there are life, logic, and loyalty. Those are the other three. And considering how much liberty is taken to the extreme, I'd take a guess that those other three are also taken to an extreme. So yeah, nothing about those Patagons really seem very good to me, considering nothing's very good when taken to the extreme like this. So yeah. But yeah, the other two events for Autumn was more on the sexual side, I guess, considering the first one is kind of Maria and Callie kind of pushing Autumn to realizing that she's actually bi, considering apparently Maria sees signs in that in her already, and has seen them for a while, considering the things she's been doing. But yeah, the last event was just, yeah, a loot event. Not very long, to be honest, but it was a loot event, which is one of three that was actually at it, I think. The other one being in Callie's event, though not actually with Callie. And then the other is with Sylvia here, which is the next one I'm going to be talking about, which, well, this event's basically been summed up as you finally get to fuck Sylvia. That's basically what the event is, pretty much. From what I can tell, Sylvia was basically just getting horny. And with a bit of teasing from Lynn, kind of pushed her over the edge, kind of. But, yeah, overall, pretty good update for Hair Motel, I think. Honestly, kind of wondering how much there is to this and how far into the story we actually are, considering this is quite a bit so far. Considering I'm pretty sure I actually have over 30 hours in the game at this point, I think. And also, I was finally actually able to download the game on itch.io, on the itch.io app, which is very nice considering that makes it where I can actually use the itch.io app as the launcher. And I don't have to use just the folder on my desktop as a makeshift launcher for it anymore, along with the other games I have that I can't get on itch.io basically. But yeah, moving on, I guess. Don't really have anything else to really talk about, I think. But yeah, I guess I'll kind of just mention this right quick. Politics. Political world has been a bit crazy this week. A lot happening. Protests in China, which I honestly don't think is really going to amount to anything, like always. Though, personally, I do think when it comes to China and protests, you'll probably see more and more protests as time goes on, and the protests are going to be getting larger and larger until the CCP can't actually really do anything about it. That's why I think about that. And the CCP will end up eventually getting to the point where they will basically be forced to do something, bring out the PLA or something, at which point it's basically where things will change. Either protests completely stop, or revolution, civil war thing. Yeah. That's what I think is going to eventually happen when it comes to China, to be honest. Considering, I think we are seeing more and more protests as time goes on, over the last few years, kind of. So, yeah. But this one here, I honestly don't think it's really going to amount to anything in the end. It's going to be another protest, probably leading to the fall of the CCP or something, I guess. Hmm. That's just how I see that stuff playing out eventually. But yeah, a lot of other stuff going on this week in the political world that I honestly don't really want to talk about. Fucking hell. But seriously, what in the world is so much going on this week? Yeah. But yeah, I don't think there's really much else for me to talk about. I'm basically at the point where I seriously need to get to fucking streaming again and get to Nito Kuni though. Considering, yeah. By the time I finish editing this video, I'll probably be leveled up to level 96 in Nino Kuni Crossworlds. So, yeah. And that's the minimum level recommendation for... Lowest level recommendation for Rainbow Valley, which is final area. So, yeah. Definitely need to get to work on that, considering by the time I actually get to the point where I'm starting to close in on actually getting the story to that point, I'll probably be closer to level 100 than anything else if I haven't already hit it by that point. So yeah, hopefully this next week I can actually find more time to actually do it, considering, yeah, I just need to stop watching nags so much, considering I literally spend most of the day every day at this point watching them, considering the streams are just that good. Though it's mainly thanks to chat, making it so entertaining, considering they're the ones that make all the content. But yeah, I seriously need to stop watching those streams so much. Just have them in the background or something, I guess. Have them on my phone or something. Considering I want to get the channel points and everything. So I can eventually get something there. On those big redeems or something, I guess. But, yeah. Did finally get that tall tree there put up this week. As you could see in my other videos this week. Initially, when I actually put it up, that star was actually perfectly lined up with the light switch there. Seriously, it's literally perfectly lined up and everything. But I pushed it over slightly, so it's actually better view, and I'm not blocking it as much. But, yeah. Next week will be the end of the whole Golden Horde series on the Bloody Europe 2 mod for Age of History 2. Which will probably be a good thing considering how poorly my channel's currently doing. Hopefully another series will kind of get things going again, considering YouTube's algorithm doesn't seem to like me after one of my weekly answer videos 2 weeks ago. So, yeah. Considering for the most part, my channel's kind of been going back and forward and kind of doing somewhat well and doing horribly since then, to be honest. Quite annoying, but whatever. I don't really care about the numbers. I do this because I want to. There's a reason why I've been making videos for this many years already, despite the very slow growth of the channel and everything. But yeah, I guess that there is basically the end of this video at this point. I think I've been talking long enough and everything. So yeah, that there is the end of this video. I hope you all enjoyed it. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye bye.